Picture this. You've been invited to a house party by a new buddy. You don't know this person very well, but you've been having a hard time making friends, and it'd be rude to turn them down, right? So you go. The address they gave leads you to a long dirt driveway. You feel uneasy, but you press on. The woods around the house are thick and oppressive, but you finally get to the front step, and your friend welcomes you warmly. Minutes pass, and you're actually having a good time. Maybe it's thanks to the drink your friend gave you. Things are going great, though you seem to have missed the dress code. Everyone's wearing white. At some point, the party moves outside to a large fire pit, and you move with it. The partygoers begin singing and dancing. It feels good, so you dance with them. But at some point you realize that you've been corralled into the middle of the group, and they're no longer singing a song you recognize. You feel a bit faint. Faces and bodies move past you in a blur, and the world seems to spin as you fall backwards into your friend's arms. Someone picks you up by your legs, and the two hoist you into the air. Your limbs are too weak to protest. The chanting song grows louder as you feel flames begin to lick at your clothes. You look up at the sky as you fade. The huge, pale white moon seems to look back at you, satisfied at your ignorant sacrifice. Okay, so full transparency, this is a class assignment, but I love YouTube video essays, and I'm using this as an opportunity to make one myself. So if this video is formatted kind of weirdly, that's why. In this video, I'm going to speak briefly on 6 movies that fit into the theme of the ignorant sacrifice. And for each movie, I'm going to analyze a scene and break down how it relates to the folk horror chain. And if you're unfamiliar with this, don't worry, I was too. It's been explained to me as a framework that is used across many folk horror stories and narratives. It goes like isolation, skewed belief, and then ritual. Before we get into it, I'd like to plaster a huge spoiler warning on this video. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of horror films, and they're really fun. So if you're interested in this topic and want to watch them yourself, I'm going to put the list of movies I'll be discussing on screen. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. In this movie, we follow Eric, a land surveyor who has been assigned to a job in the middle of nowhere, Ireland, where he is tasked with assessing a forest that has no name. He's placed in a house close by, whose former inhabitant was found in those same woods in a vegetative state. He quickly realizes that something is very wrong with this area, as his equipment begins to fail him, and he sees a shadowy figure stalking him through the trees. Through journal entries and pictures left behind by the old owner of the house, we learn that the forest is alive somehow, and Eric falls headfirst down this rabbit hole, eventually going mad. During this madness, he ends up face to face with the shadowed figure that had been stalking him, and it's revealed to be the consciousness of the old owner of the house. A psychedelic, mind-twisting sequence ensues, wherein the two fight, and Eric loses. The man's consciousness is returned to his body, and Eric's is ripped from him, ever to remain in the forest without name. I'd love to show you this full scene, however, it is quite hard to look at. And I would require a photosensitive warning, so I'm gonna put up some screen caps instead while I talk. I believe that in some way this was a setup. The contractor that assigned Eric this impossible job put him up in this specific house, and he just seems super suspicious the few times that he's in a scene. Not to mention the journal and all the photos were just left out in the open, almost like bait. Eric is a very lonely character. He was already somewhat estranged from his family and not in a good headspace, making him susceptible to outside influences. And I'm sure the drugs didn't help. Did I mention there were drugs? There were a lot of drugs. I feel like the drugs acted as a catalyst for Eric's descent, and the journal was the ladder that he used to climb down. It felt like he was meant to find it and meant to keep getting deeper into the woods and more vulnerable. And this scene is what it was all leading him to. A ritual in which he was made to switch places with the figure in the woods. He was made to be a sacrifice. An ending he did not know he was chasing. Sergeant Howie is tasked with investigating the disappearance of a young girl on the isolated island of Summerisle. From the start, nothing about the place seemed right to Howie, and through his investigation, he sees many things that disturb him. The island is home to an old pagan religion, and Howie, being a devout Christian, was having none of that. Nevertheless, he marches on, finding that she had been almost entirely erased from all records. He hounds the villagers for any bit of information he can get, and chases every lead he's given, which ultimately leads him straight to the Wicker Man and his fiery fate. I feel like this movie is the epitome of the theme that I'm basing this video around. The whole time, the girl had been alive and well. It was an elaborately crafted ruse to guide Howie to the Wicker Man in order to use him as a sacrifice. Howie was so focused on his goal that he didn't see the danger of being alone in this place. I think that the scene that solidifies the horror for me was where Howie was trying to save the girl and take her out of the cave that they had been chased into. But once they exit, Howie sees the head of the villagers on the other side, and the girl runs to him, asking if she did well. And the amount of desperation and realization that there is no way out, and is terrifying. He's completely alone, and there is no one coming to help him. And the Wicker Man is waiting. This movie centers around a family that's just recently lost their mother, but the spirit seems to stick around. And not in a sweet way. The visage of the mother haunts the family, and it progressively gets worse, to the point where the grandmother is actually killed. After this, the children learn of a pact their mother made with a cult that would allow her to have children since she was infertile. This ritual was conducted under one condition, that the youngest child be given up when they turn 7 years old. The family fights to stay together and to keep their youngest from being taken, but to no avail. The rest of the family is spared at the steep expense of the youngest son being reclaimed by the cult that allowed him to be born. I feel like this movie has an underlying message of generational burdens, since the mother passes without ever warning her children about the troubles that they'll have to endure, and the father is gone on business, leaving the children alone to fend for themselves against evil spirits that have come to take away their little brother. The scene that really stuck out to me is the one where the youngest son is in the well room, and he's suddenly pulled into the well. The door shuts, and the father has to break through it, jumping into the well to save him, and the two other kids have to pull him and the youngest one up as something emerges from the water. The entire sequence had me gripping my seat, and the pacing is so well done, and the shot of him being pulled into the well is so haunting. Allison is an 18-year-old girl whose birthday is coming up. Her aunt and uncle want her home for her special day, but Allison is apprehensive. In the past, she was given a vague but violent warning about her 19th birthday, but she is ultimately convinced to visit her family when her aunt tells her that her uncle is very sick. Once she arrives, the plan is set into motion. Allison's family is not her family at all, but a Celtic cult that worships a spirit named Myrna. And they took Allison when she was just a child, and were responsible for the death of her parents. All this with the intention of sacrificing Allison's soul so that her body could be Myrna's next vessel. Allison's boyfriend finds out about all of this while she is still unaware. He attempts to help her escape, but the family's grasp is too tight. They even hypnotize Allison so that she doesn't recognize her boyfriend. In the end, he was unable to stop them, and Allison does not realize her situation until it is far, far too late. The scene that really broke my heart is the final scene of the movie, where Allison wakes up in the body of Myrna's old vessel, unable to move, and she watches her body walk into the room, puppeteered by this evil spirit. It's shot in a dingy, dark back bedroom of the house, which adds to the hopelessness of the scene. Allison begins to cry, and in this moment you can see that even though she's been put into this old body, she's still a kid who's been lied to her entire life just to have everything taken away on her 19th birthday. This mockumentary follows a family in which shamanism is hereditary. It starts by interviewing just one family member, the Kermit shaman, for a deity called Bayan. But then it shifts gears as her niece, Mink, seems to become possessed. At first, they believe it's Bayan's spirit that's transferred to her in order to make her the next shaman. However, as her symptoms worsen in severity, it's revealed that multiple evil spirits are writhing within her. The family attempts to save her by performing a ceremony, but it goes awry in the worst way possible, and their attempts end up being futile. No one in the family, nor the camera crew, nor the ceremony, was spared. No one knows why Mink was chosen for this fate, not even herself, though it seems her mind is lost anyway. There's a scene where, when the ritual fails, Mink's mother, Noi, tries to make it right again. She seems to be emboldened by some sort of spirit that she believes to be Bayan. She instructs the men helping with the ceremony to bring her things, one of them being lit incense sticks. But instead of placing them upright, she places them face down in the ash, snuffing them. And this causes a chain reaction in which the men that were helping seem to become possessed, writhing on the floor, slamming into walls, and hurting themselves really bad. I believe that this is another case of ignorant sacrifice, as the men believed that she knew what she was doing, and did not think that she was going to harm them. This is probably the most basic pick I could have done for this project, but it's an amazing movie and it fits perfectly with the theme of the video. In this movie, we follow Danny, a girl who's recently lost her family and has been isolated since. With the exception of her awful boyfriend, she and her boyfriend, along with a group of friends, get invited to go invest themselves in their friend's culture in a rural Swedish village. Over time, while they're there, things get more and more uncomfortable until a breaking point is reached, where two of the elders in the community jump off a cliff and have their faces bashed in, for lack of better words. This is enough to scare off two members of the group, and after this, each member slowly disappears until it's just Danny and her boyfriend. The women of the cult have been doing their best to win Danny over and manipulate her into feeling like she has a home with them. Meanwhile, her boyfriend is drugged and then coerced into a mating ritual with a girl from the cult. Following this, the final ritual begins, wherein it is revealed that all the people in the group were brought to this place with the purpose of being sacrifices, and Danny was brought with the intent of indoctrinating her into the cult. From the beginning, they were planning to kill these people, and the entire time, they were carefully manipulating them and killing them once they tried to escape. There are so many horrifying scenes in this movie that I could have chose from, but I don't believe I'd be able to show many of them due to their graphic nature. So I'd like to talk about one that, while not graphic, is still haunting for different reasons. The scene takes place after Danny sees her boyfriend performing the mating ritual, and she has a full-blown meltdown. And the villager girls surround her on the floor while she's hyperventilating, and they begin to hyperventilate and scream with her in unison. I've seen some people online saying that they were trying to comfort her and make her feel like they can feel what she's feeling, and that they understand. And while I do believe that this was their intention, I think it actually strips her of her individuality and turns her feelings into something that are not just hers. Rather than comforting her, they're drowning her out. I think a through line that connects all of these stories and folk horror as a subgenre is that they're all a sort of cautionary tale. Take care when trusting people. Be aware of your surroundings and the danger that may lurk in them. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, and be wary not to make deals with something you don't fully understand. Just look at the things these poor characters had to endure. It never seems to end well. Be sure to take heed of the warnings you've been given, and be careful of the choices you make. And have a good night.